You have just entered The Royal Access, a show for believers who are ready to walk boldly in their faith by choosing Christ over culture. Journey with us each week as I connect with guests who share that their success is found in having Jesus as their source. Welcome everyone to another episode of The Royal Access. And as you know, we are in that series, The Realities of Choosing Christ Over Culture. And so every week I have a guest that I want to dive a little more into their story about what that path has been like for them of choosing Christ over culture. And today we have Ceri. How you doing? So Ceri, I am taking a risk asking this question that I usually ask when I interview people, because I don't know the answer for this. So I don't even know if you know the answer for this. But the question, and maybe this is this is not the first time we've met in person, but I always ask my guests this question: how did we meet?
How did we meet? You were Buffy's friend.
Right.
You were Buffy's friend, and me and Buffy were friends back in the day.
Right.
And then I think the next time I saw you would have been to my cousin Mia's wedding.
Yes, that's it. Okay, yes. So we had the connection of Buffy. Yes, I think that's how I first knew of Ceri, through Buffy. And then, yes, your cousin Mia, definitely through that. Okay, so you do remember, yeah. So I didn't remember if there was a specific moment, but I do remember that it's those two connections why we would have met. All right, so Ceri, one of the reasons I wanted to interview you is because, as you said, I knew of you. No, I didn't know you personally, but I knew of you. And then I remember there was a post that you had, I don't remember when it was a few years ago, when you said that you had accepted Christ as your savior. And I was like, Ceri gets saved. I didn't know Ceri when I was in college. That's all I can say. I didn't know Ceri when I was in college. So I was like, Ceri gets saved. I said, Ceri find Jesus. What's going on, Robin? So what was that experience like? Like, first, before we get to Ceri getting saved, what was your life like, as much as you are free to tell? What was your life like before that moment of the Facebook post?
It was fast, I think that's the best way to explain it, for many years, from my teenage years and in my 20s and, for the most part, some of my 30s too. It was very fast. I lived a fast life, very worldly. I made a lot of mistakes, as I feel they were mistakes, but they were all still learning lessons and still just trying to be a work in progress. But it definitely was a fast life. I did a lot of things I wasn't proud of, still am not proud of. And that was sort of, my lifestyle was sort of my catalyst that didn't allow me to find Jesus, but allowed Jesus to find me.
Okay.
So that's...
How did he find you? Because when you say fast, and I don't dig too much, but I dig a little bit. When you say fast, you mean fast like when it came to relationships, when it came to work, when it came to, or just in general, in life, every area of your life?
Every area of my life was fast. I didn't have any rules, no laws. I can honestly say that I was just living day to day. Any decision was just a rapid decision, no thought behind it. Mm-hmm. A lot of selfish decisions, didn't really care much for what anyone else felt about the decisions that I make, no matter how much it affected their lives. And I didn't feel as though I had love in me. I didn't feel like I had love. I hated people for the most part. And that was something that my relationship with Christ was what it worked on me the most with, was that realizing and accepting the faults in people and just learning to love. Most importantly was just learning to love. And
did you grow up in the faith, like y'all had to go to church growing up, or was it kind of like we could kind of do our own thing?
Well, it's funny because I come from both sides of my family, extremely strong Christian background. Like my grandmother on my mother's side, she was a Seventh-day Adventist, and she was a strong Seventh-day Adventist. So as a young person, we were it was sort of forced on us more as opposed to us having the option or not, and because they were so strong in their faith in terms of everything from like what they ate and when the Sabbath was, and we know about that Friday night you got to turn the TV off and you got to have Bible study, and the first sense of rebellion probably would have come from out of that, and us just sort of trying to avoid that. And then my father's side also, but they were more, because he's from Wales, so my grandfather on his side was a very devout Christian, but he was part of the Brethren Church. a big leader in the Brethren Church, actually. So he used to travel the world giving out Bibles. So he devoted his life to Christ from a very young person, and but he was a lot more not pushy with it, if that makes sense to you. So we had a very strong background to it, and then growing up as a teenager, Bible studies and stuff used to be our outlet to go look for girls.
That's where he's going for the woman.
And that's why he's going looking for the girls. So that it always, the church, as you know, as being a young Bahamian, you know, the church is always there. It's always an option. It's always something that is going to have some sort of precedence in your life, whether you choose it to be or not, because you either can go to a religious school, or, you know, you can be surrounded by family members that sort of expect you to walk in a certain way and sort of like whip it into you, you know. But growing as an adult, finding Christ was something that I definitely had to be met halfway. You know, he had to come to me, and then obviously, you know, he comes through the different things that you go through in life. You know, when we go through things, we tend to always look to God when we face the rock. You know, when we face that wall that we feel that we can't get over, or we feel like a situation is burdening us so much. But it wasn't so much the situations that led me to Christ. It was just me looking in the mirror one day and just realizing that this isn't the person that I want to be. I didn't recognize myself anymore.
It wasn't like it was just a day. It wasn't like some like hard, like a car crash or thing. I mean, it wasn't like this big thing. It was just one day.
Just one day. I literally woke up and I looked in the mirror and I didn't like the person that I saw. I just didn't like myself anymore. I despised what I had become. I despised the things that I did. I despised just hurting so much people over the years, and I just despised the image that I had created for myself that had now portrayed onto so many other people, because I was a leader in my factor, you know, and everything I did, I always was a leader. So just realizing how many souls I had taken down the wrong path. And I just woke up one day and I just prayed about it, and, you know, I asked the Lord to take some things from me, you know, and that was it. I just woke up, and the next morning I gave up alcohol, which was a very big catalyst for the things that I used to do. Put the drugs aside and stuff, and, you know, just moved on. Just tried to be better every day. That's all I did. I started to work out, which was very helpful, believe it or not. You know, every morning I would wake up at 5 a.m. and I would just go running, just me and my thoughts. And I found something what I called my prayer rock. So my prayer rock was sort of my end point of my jog. So I used to use my motivation every morning to pray. And I used to run to this prayer rock every morning, and I would just pray there every morning, and then I would run back home. And then I would, we created a breakfast in the Bible group, and it just every day just added until I started to see more change in me, and I started to like it.
Well, you are the perfect example of train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart. The reason why I say that is because I think some parents see that their children do go through that. And we don't know how long, if a child does stray away, we don't know how long they're going to stray. Like you said, my teenage, my 20s, even some of my 30s, I was still doing whatever I wanted to do when I wanted to do. But because people had sown those seeds when you were growing up as a child, when you did have that moment, it wasn't like it was at a crusade or something like that. You were able to have that experience with God, but it's because of the seeds that people sowed when you were a child. And so they might be thinking, looking at you as a teenager or in your 20s or 30s, we take this boy to church, we going, and he ain't like nothing, he's just doing whatever the heck he want to do.
Yeah.
But the seeds were there, and God knew when it was the moment that he needed you to kind of like. So what was that path like of making that decision? Because if you live a certain way your whole life, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to, like you said, drugs, everything, what was that like to all the people that were a part of that life, and you're saying, I'm now living for Christ? What was that like, having that, like, I'm different now? You ain't going to drink it with us? I'm different now. You ain't going to...
Well, the thing about it is that it had a lot to do with my qualities, what was already built in me to be a leader. Because peer pressure never worked on me because it was always me peer pressuring people to do
You was the
stuff. I was the one. So when I changed, I wasn't mocked, which was funny. I mean, I had certain friends that would sort of laugh jokingly, but I wasn't mocked for my decisions because people also know that when I have an iron hand. So when I put my fist down about something, that's pretty much gospel, So during that moment in time, it was sort of changing for people because a lot of people now would come to me and they'd be like, "You still don't drink?" And I'd just be like, "Yeah, not like that." You know what I mean? I don't. If me and Brittany or someone out to dinner or something, we may have a little glass of wine or something, but it ain't like I going out there and drinking or
Right.
I just ain't like that no more. And one of the things that I always tell them, and I tell everyone about me, is that I'm still a work in progress. I still have a lot of work to do. Like I'm far from perfect. I'm not gonna pretend that I still sin. I'm human. Is it like I said earlier? It wasn't that I found Christ. Christ found me, and it's a relationship. And one of the things that I did, and I still pray about it every day, is that I've asked God to be my partner. And I said that I want you to be my partner, meaning that I know that I can't do this by myself. I need you to meet me halfway. This is a 50-50 relationship. I can try my best to do my part, but even in a partnership, sometimes you have to help your partner up if they fail. So if I only bring 40, but you bring 50, God, I just need you to loan me 10%, and give me a little 10 today, and I can catch myself. I can be back solid, but just give me that opportunity. And I've integrated that into my business. I've integrated that into my life, my relationships, and I've just watched everything change around me. I've just watched everything get a little bit better. Nothing's perfect. Like I said, I still have so many faults, so many wrongs that I want to right. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better person. I want to, try to wrong some of the rights that I made. But, it's just a continuous work in progress. It's just every day I just try to be a little bit better. I realize that the journey to Christianity isn't what people think. It isn't this somebody touches your hand or touches your hand or put their hand on your head and you just wake up and your mind is different. Your mind isn't different. You're still the same person that you were, but you have to make that decision that I'm going to change these things that I were, because that wasn't in you. You have God in you. That is you are from God. You're of God. He has this in you already. It's now up to you to just bring it out. And sometimes when you just try to bring it out all the way, you may come across as like I'm
fanatic.
I'm a fanatic, or I'm holier than thou. And it's really not the case. Because I slip up all the time. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. But again, it's just me being a work in progress. That's all it is. And every day I just try to get just a little bit better.
Yeah. And I think that, that's how it is for all of us, realizing that it's a journey into choosing God, and I have to choose God every day. Have you ever had a moment where you felt like this was too hard? Like, I know you keep saying, like, I'm a work in progress. I don't do everything right. I say it all the time. But have you ever had a moment where you're like, I don't know if I still want to, like, did you ever want to go back to that life, or feel like, if not wanting to go back, feeling like this is too hard to choose God? Because I think sometimes people look at Christianity and what they have to realize is, even when I choose God, I'm still going to face failure. I'm still going to face heartbreak. I'm still going to face pain. But have you ever had a moment where you're like, God, why is this so hard, even though I'm choosing you?
Honestly, the way that my mind thinks, I don't think that way.
Okay.
You see? Because my thing is that over the years, I've lost so many friends. You see, I closed one of my best friend's eyes. He was murdered, and I had to close his eyes in the hospital. I've lost, because in relation to my whole life, I've lost maybe 30, 40 friends, killed. Just day before yesterday, I had a friend that dropped down from a heart attack, close friend too. And when you accept death and you realize that that is a part of life, but most importantly, you realize that God still has you here, it gives you sort of this innate sense of purpose. And I listen to Miles Monroe a lot, and he speaks a lot about purpose and the kingdom and being a kingdom citizen. And just me realizing that every day I have a purpose. I just don't know what it is. I haven't wrap my hands around it yet. But I just know that every day I get an opportunity to just search a little bit deeper for it. And the only one place that you could look for your purpose, it isn't outside in the world. It's inside you, right where God lives. God lives inside you. So if you want to look for your purpose, you have to start seeking Him. And the way that you seek Him is that you look inside yourself where He lives. So it was just me sort of realizing that I have a purpose, I'm here, and to just work towards finding out whatever that is. And if it's something simple as every morning I share my Bible verses, or every day I get up and try to go to my breakfast in the Bible group, and just even just say an encouraging word, because you just never know where it might take you. I've never been on a podcast. I don't do the TV thing. I'm pretty much like a background person,
right?
But it was just something that was inside me that just told me that maybe somebody would hear your story. Maybe somebody would just listen and just say, you know what, let me just give God a try. And that's all it takes. To anyone listening to it is, you just give God a try. Just give Him one chance. It hurts. Life hurts a lot without Him. And I just realized that at this point, because I know what life was like without Him, life way too sweet with Him.
And that's what I was gonna say when you said, like, I've, in your past life, friends or people you knew, 30 to 40 people watching them pass. I was like, oh, I see why you've never had a moment of thinking. I know what it is to live life without Christ.
Yeah.
It's not better on the next side. It's not. And I tell people all the time when they say, like, someone who doesn't walk with God, it seems like they're winning. I'm like, what I have noticed about the enemy is he will give you a long rope. So he will allow you to win or get by for a long time. And after a while, all those things that you have done will start to catch up with you, because he was playing the long game. And so it's good for you to realize, like, life is sweeter with Christ. And so therefore, there's no need.
Yeah.
No need.
And what it is too is that it all depends on what you gauge your metrics with. Like if you look at what the enemy gives you and you say that you have a better life, what are you really gauging life at? Or what is really life to you? Is life material things? Because if you really want material things, God has given you them too. But He said, ask, and work, faith and works, meaning that I have to have the faith when I ask that it'll get done by me working. So all of these things could go hand in hand, It's just that you have to come to that realization within yourself, is that where's the source of this coming from? Am I going to live worldly and just allow this rope to actually have an end? Or am I going to live with a continuous rope in my life, whereas I can be able to spend my eternity with somebody and my rope won't end? That I'll have the opportunity to have a good life here and there. Because we will face that outcome one day. We all will. It's unavoidable. It's one of those things in life that is promised us from birth, is promised. Now we just have to learn to live towards that and work towards that, and just know that, we will get to some place, but it requires us to give our heart to Christ. And giving our heart to Christ isn't just something that we say. It's something by how we live, and that's why I say that I'm still a work in progress, because I know there's so much other things that I have to do, so many relationships that I have to repair. I have to do better. I have to be better, and that's the only way that I could get to glory.
And you talk about that, like having relationships that you would have to repair and things like that. As you moved forward in your life, did you ever have times where people didn't really believe you changed, like whether it was in work or whether it was in pursuing relationships? Because you're married now. Right?
Yeah, people don't believe I changed now. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, it's not them that I have anything to prove to. So I don't even have to prove nothing to God, because He knows my heart.
Right.
At the end of the day, I am who I am, and this is just what it is, and this is what I face with. And I when I got baptized, Freeport Bible Church, The
Pastor Kyle.
Pastor Kyle baptized me, and I baptized as a grown man, never as a child, nothing. And he told me before he put me underneath the water, he said, when I put you underneath this water, when I bring you up, you will be a new person. You have a renewed spirit. And that is how I looked at life moving forward. That my spirit has been renewed. This is an opportunity to start over, and I ain't gonna let nobody hold me back to that. It isn't worth it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I think in life we should be praying for that, for more people to be able to have that transformational experience of choosing Christ, and supporting them in that, because as you said, it's a work in progress. It's not like, bam, I'm just like, in Christ I'm a new creature, but I'm human, so I'm gonna have to walk out what that new life means. But I think that more people will come to Christ if we gave more grace and more understanding, more support and prayers to people moving in that direction. I heard it was in a romantic sense, but I think it applies in general. There was this pastor, he was saying he doesn't like when women keep saying they're no good men. And he said, the reason why I'm saying that is because if you believe in God and we believe in God, and there are people out there that are not living how they should be living in relationships, men, because they were saying women said there's no good men. If you're praying and asking God to transform their hearts, if God could turn water into wine, then why can't he change the hearts of these men that you're saying they're no good men? And so when you were speaking today, it reminded me of that, not only in the romantic sense, but in the sense of, in general, of saints, of people of us saying there's no believers out there. There are no young people who are serious for Christ, or there's no men leading when it comes to leading people. But it's like we have to give grace when people do decide to make that step, so they have that support and they have those seeds. But we also have to continue to pray, because there are people who knew Christ that are from a child, and maybe they've gone astray. Maybe it's been 20, 30 years, who knows how long. But God is still God. And God can meet them in their bedroom without anything else from those seeds. And he can turn it around. Like, I feel like you're a living example. And I feel like if there are people out there, men and women, but especially men, who are watching this feeling, I'm too far gone. As you said, like, I lived a fast life. It was women, drugs, life. What?
I mean, it wasn't much people living for life faster than mine. But
it was the fastest.
The fastest, the F1 race cars of it. But I think that, and this is one of the things what kept me away from the church for so many years, is that church hurt is a real thing. And I think that Christians and persons within the church setting need to understand that, and understand that God is a God of love, and you don't attack people for not believing in what you believe, because they may not just believe in it yet. You kill them before they had an opportunity to live. And you have to embrace the culture. You have to embrace that the church isn't what it used to be. It's evolved. It's evolved from the creation of it. It's evolved into different forms of church. Some people prefer to watch church online. You didn't know it was possible until COVID came around. Mm-hmm. You before, like, churches would stream their services, but people weren't comfortable watching it until it was the only option that they had. Now, some people, the church may not have, that many people in it on Sundays, but then you still have the viewers, you still have the people watching, and it's just about embracing people, and it's about giving people that grace, the same grace that God gave us, the same grace and the mercy that goes along with the grace. Just to know that, hey, listen, man, I know you ain't perfect, but if you need someone to talk to, like, I right here, my arms are open,
Mm-hmm.
I know you going through this. Here, I have a little something I could help you. See it there, but without saying, I ain't doing this for them because they are that, like that you've already become the judge and the jury for them, and you have no right to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people treated me that way, and it turned me off from the church initially, because I was just always like, I ain't into that. Like you around me preaching, like you don't have to Bible pound. You don't have to whip Christianity into people, Like Bahamians especially, like, we know God exists. Like, he right there. He lived by my Grammy house, Like you know God is in your presence. The things that you go through in life, it shows you that, God allow you to live to see another day. Every day you wake up is another opportunity just to be better and to do better. But we have to understand as Christians that it's a subtle way that we approach people with what we believe in, and it isn't about us dictating and whipping into people that they are wrong and we are right, because the truth can set you free regardless.
Yeah.
Like the you it could be the subtle hints, you know what I mean? Like just the Bible verse that I share every morning. I've had people jump in my inbox and be like, that was for me this morning. And if that's all the purpose of me waking up to send them that message was, and I was to leave today or tomorrow, and that was the message, and that saved one soul, then it was all worth it.
Yeah.
And that's just the way that you have to look at it as a Christian. I know you've been in my room before, so you hear what I say when I close it. I say, be conscious of your surroundings, meaning that not just to be careful in terms of your safety, but look around you. There's so many people hurting around you, and people just need love. Like, it isn't hard for you to say, hey, morning, have a great day. You're beautifully and wonderfully made. Like, God, hey, I see you look like you're going through something. God got you, It's okay to just a person standing in front of you, hey, man, I can pay for your lunch today, man. I see it look like you're a little low. It's cool.
Yeah.
And it's just about you coexisting with each other.
And I think people need that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on to the podcast, because like you said, I've been in Breakfast in the Bible. And when I saw you guys doing that and that you started, I said, oh, Ceri's still saved. But it made me easy. Yeah, I'm sure people say it. Yeah, you lived a life. But I think that it's so good that not only did you decide, like, I'm going to walk away from that life, I'm going to choose Christ, I'm choosing Christ over anything else, but I'm going to acknowledge that I'm still walking this out, but I'm going to help others along the way. And it like you said, everybody's, I think, purpose is different. Like you said, you listen to Miles Monroe, and I think everybody's purpose is different. But I think even understanding that it doesn't have to be this astronomical thing. Like, I have a room, we're on, you guys are on, what is it, Clubhouse?
Yeah.
And we share the Bible scripture, and that could be the thing that encourages someone along the way. So I want to say, I think that's great that you guys started that and that you have that group that keeps going. And I want you to, before you tell people how to connect with you, because I want you to tell them about the room, the last thing I want you to share on the camera is, if there's a young man who is currently where you were, who's currently living that fast life, what would you say to them? What would you say to your old self?
Well, the first thing I would say to you is it takes time. And don't think that you can just change in one day. And don't be afraid of change. Like, embrace change. And don't think that, like, if because the way you was surviving before, you feel as though survival is your only way out. Just remember that you have things to survive for. You have people who need you. You have a relationship to continuously build with Christ, because it's a reason why He kept you alive. It's a reason why you're still here. It's a reason why you've been through what you've been through, because you have a story to tell. And don't give up on yourself. And if you make mistakes and if you fall back into the old you, that's okay. It's okay to pick up the pieces. It's okay to start over. It's okay to just realize within yourself that, like, you're human and that you make mistakes, because they will happen. They will come. Again, I continuously make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I'm far, far from it. But I know I'm the person that I used to be.
Amen.
And that's the most important thing to me.
I love that. I love it. I may not be where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. For
correct.
sure, I'm not. Thanks so much, Ceri. I want you to share with them how they can stay connected to you guys with Breakfast in the Bible, and then how they can connect with you.
So we have a room in Clubhouse called the Breakfast in the Bible at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday, where we just share a Bible verse and say what we're grateful for. And you have the opportunity to just speak and tell us a little bit about anything. So it's a pretty open forum. You could also reach me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Ceri Howells. And if anyone ever needs somebody to talk to, my DMs is open. I know sometimes you may just want to listen in there, or somebody to tell you that it's going to be okay. And my DMs is open.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Ceri, for joining us. And thank you guys for joining us in this series, choosing the realities of choosing Christ over culture. We can't wait to see you guys next week.